Today on the podcast, we've got Trevond Barnes. He's a former college basketball player at Hampton. He'd actually reached out to me through Instagram and said, hey, I got some questions about branding, marketing. He's got his own platform he's working on it's called More to the Game. And he basically wants to become the uninterrupted of not well-known athletes, non-celebrity athletes. So I wanted to ask some questions. We said, screw it, let's do it. So let's do it on a podcast form. He had like 8 questions. Let's do podcast form. We'll answer, have an open conversation. We'll go from there. Here's Trevond. Trevond, what is up? Appreciate you reaching out to me on Instagram. Happy to have a conversation. You had a handful of those questions you laid out. I said, let's just do it on a podcast form. It would make more sense that way. And initially you wanted to do it on your platform, More to the Game. But I know you're pulling back and you can do some different things there. So let's do it on our platform, the Business and BS Podcast.
It's great, man. Great. I'm glad to be a part of this. I love you guys' content. I saw you on Twitter, and then I saw on Instagram. I'm like, wow, can you believe this platform is now like a million followers already. But yeah, I'm definitely grateful to be on, and I look forward to the conversation for sure.
Of course. Appreciate you. Like I said, appreciate you reaching out. I think it's, from an athlete's perspective, you're at Hampton. You're not at Duke. You're not at, the biggest schools, football, basketball in the country. But there's still tons of opportunity at a place like Hampton. Tons of opportunity. We played at small schools. We played MAC football and then Division II football. There's so much opportunity within that. More than just the sport. And you were obviously way better than we are, where you had pro opportunity. We did not and would not have. But even just from the opportunity to be an athlete on a college campus and what that means for you moving forward, whether it's connections, networking, and now with the new branding, all that stuff that'll happen. But even just connections, I think it's such a major opportunity and advantage for an athlete as opposed to any other student.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. I feel like as an athlete, you're sort of like the leader of your own individual community. Like you have, your school community, you have those student leaders, but I think that people look up to athletes even more because that's they can identify with and see more on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are the face of the campus. I mean, you're the face of the campus. Depending on, I guess there's some schools that like Alabama football, Nick Saban can be a part of that, but 99% of the faces of the campus are from athletes that are playing on campus. Very rarely is it a coach that outshines or a president or a professor or just a regular student. It's always the athletes that are kind of the face of it.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, unless you're talking about like some of those guys like Nick Saban or whatever, like it's always the athletes. And like, especially with this social media age, like those are the people that people can come in contact with easily.
Yep.
Older guys, you can't just reach out to them through Instagram, follow their story. So like the athletes are definitely someone that the people can reach.
Yeah, for sure. So you started More to the Game as a platform, basically just, I know the way you worded it was uninterrupted for non-athletes or non-celebrities. What made you want to do that, and what's your goal with that whole thing?
Yeah, so like you said earlier, I got the opportunity to play basketball professionally, but I got hurt 8 days into my career, and then I realized there were so many things that athletes weren't prepared for, and they needed a platform, for themselves to look up to. I love Uninterrupted, I love LeBron, love everything he's doing, but that platform is just not reachable for somebody like me or you. So I felt like most of the game could help the everyday athlete and teach the everyday athlete things that can help them in their life, and not just on the court or on the field. So that's really the main focus, is like being able to prepare people and empower people and educate people for life.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. How long have you been doing that? Did you start that or when you were pro, or did you start that in college? How long have you been doing it?
So I just started in January. Like the idea came right after my injury, which happened August 28th on my mother's birthday, and I had my surgery and everything back at my school, Hampton, and I was able to get it started by using some of the equipment at the university because I was there rehabbing and using their facilities. So I didn't get a chance to start until January though, because I wasn't really able to move around like I wanted to. So I started the platform in January. So now we're at like 5 months in, and the first video did 1,000 views. I had no idea it would, and I was very encouraged from that. and now I'm just trying to grow it and get all different types of content, out there. So I haven't been doing it too long. But I'm definitely in the process of growing it and expanding the content and just trying to make this as big as possible, because I want this to be, just like I said, the uninterrupted, but for the everyday athlete.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you filming, creating your own content? Do you have somebody else doing that? Do you have a team or people helping you with this, or?
So when I went back to Hampton for my rehab and everything, the first video I had help with a guy who was one of my former teammates on the basketball team. He recorded it and edited it. And I used another guy for like the second and third videos. But after that, it's basically just been me editing it and creating all the content. But I have a group of people from Hampton that I work with to help me promote it and to try to get them on the content. I use some of my friends from Hampton in the videos. But now, I'm trying to reach out to get others involved at different schools or at different avenues, different sports, just all over. So right now it's basically just me producing and creating everything. But I want to take a step back and empower others and have others, being the main focus of the content.
Yeah, but you can even do that. Like this is, this is our platform, but you're the content today. So like we're giving you the platform, I guess would be like, it's the same type of thing. You could be doing this conversation wise. You could be the focus, the lead dancer of it. The lead dancer, that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. But I mean, you know what I'm saying though. That's not the right verbiage. But like, you're the lead of the dance is probably the way to say it. But also have other people come on and talk,
Yeah, that's definitely how it is right now. I feel like I just want to get different types of content out, and I just feel like there are other people that can sort of like serve that better. Like I use one of my closest friends. He's playing professionally overseas. Well, he was before the shutdown, and I used his because I wasn't able to play. I used him as the person that I wanted to cover like the vlog series of being a professional athlete overseas. And then with my upcoming content with the podcast, there was this guy. He's my best friend. He's very knowledgeable on podcasts. He has a lot of things that he's passionate about, and I wanted to use him, as the lead host for that. So it's sort of like obviously, it's my channel, and I'm the focus, that people will know. But I just want to use it as a way to empower others as well, because like an athlete, like being an athlete, teamwork is everything. And I love working with others.
Yeah, that's good. I dig it. I'm into it. I think I like that you're young in the game too and doing it. It's not like you're 35 and like you have some huge following. This is something that you've started right out of college essentially. I know it was a little bit of time, but essentially right then, and understanding there is much more to what's going on. And that leads into what we've been talking a ton about with the new name, image, likeness stuff, which we think is going to be just so massive. Whether you're at Duke or North Carolina or you're at Howard or you're at a Division II school, there's opportunities. There's levels to it, but there's opportunities in all of those.
Yeah, definitely. I wish I could have been, profiting off my likeness. I don't know how much it would have actually made, but being a college athlete, you're doing so much, but you can't really make any money. It definitely makes it hard. There are some nights where, you don't want to spend any money or have too much to spend, but the cap is closed. So like, it's a lot of good opportunities coming for the next athletes. I'm definitely happy for them. I'm not hating on them at all. I wish we could have got it, but I'm definitely hoping for the future.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge. Think about like where you're at. You're at Howard, big HBCU. There's lots of think of just like rap songs. How many people mention Howard? How many people want to be associated with Howard? When you look at like Black empowerment and all these other things going on socially today, Howard is probably the most well-known HBCU. There's lots of people that would want to be a part of an athlete on that campus. I think that's super, super valuable. Now you're not getting 30,000 to a game. I don't know what your guys' attendance is like, but it's not like, well, Duke doesn't have that big of an attendance. There's just 6,500 crazy people, but it's not because of that where the value is. The value is because of the name brand and then you being an athlete on campus.
Yeah, I went to Hampton.
Hampton.
Similar to
Howard. I said Howard. I did say Howard.
I wasn't gonna interrupt him, but
why didn't you interrupt him?
He was flowing too much, and I wasn't gonna interrupt him either.
Well, I was just the problem is I was just thinking about Howard. Yeah. Hampton's not that. But you should have just stopped me in the
Yeah, you were flowing. You were in a good flow.
But it didn't make sense as much then.
Yeah.
There's still take a small percentage of what I said then. It still flows with that.
Yeah, I'm a Hampton guy, so obviously it's a rivalry between us and Howard.
Yeah.
But definitely, like, they're like the mainstream HBCU. Like,
Yeah.
you know, P. Diddy, I think his son either went there or like comes there or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think Drake goes there. Like, they're like the mainstream HBCU.
Yeah.
So it's no hating or whatever. I know Howard, you know, there's a lot of opportunities there, even though Hampton is a lot better in sports. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be so many different avenues for those guys that wouldn't have any other way to make money to capitalize on that and the brand.
Yeah, I mean, you could have started this. If this is a year down the road, you could have started this platform in college and generated money from it.
Yeah, I think about that. I mean, I don't, you know, my focus isn't necessarily on the money. I have other ways that I plan on making money. But I definitely feel like if I do generate money in the future, that I want to be able to hire people that, you know, can't make that money or they don't have their own platform, so I can put it sort of back into their hands, you know.
Sure. I dig that. Looking at some of the stuff that you had sent over to me, I know one thing you said, you think that the virus made the market oversaturated for content creators. Will it go back? What do you think? I don't think so. I think the good people stand out from a content perspective.
Yeah, I think if anything, the appetite for content is higher, and I think it'll spark more creativeness of how we receive the content, basically. So there's going to be more OTT platforms, more apps, integrated apps. I think it's just going to spark the creativeness of how we consume all that abundance of content.
Yeah, there's definitely something to that. Or even just like YouTube channels. Whereas lots of people either didn't have a YouTube channel or people weren't consuming as much on YouTube. That's way up. There's monetization right there. Instagram, more Instagram lives, which there's a gazillion Instagram lives. There's not as much now, which I think is good. I think that was like the one place where you saw, all right, there's 15 people I follow on Instagram live right now. That never happens. That's come down a little bit. But I also think if you're good and you're putting out good stuff, the content is the content. People like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Instagram realized that too, and I think just the way that they had it laid out for the live isn't really great. But I think that they'll be making tweaks to that live either too, just to accommodate more of like the influx of content too. Just because it wasn't a great layout, I don't think.
Yeah, I think, I guess I was more talking about so many people that I follow had started brands. I can think of like 5 people that I follow on Instagram. They were launching their brand throughout this, quarantine and everything. So I sort of felt like for my own like following, I guess, because it's sort of like a niche following of HBCU people and Hampton people that I guess I was referring to. It seemed like everyone was starting something. And it just seemed like every day, like somebody was promoting something on my timeline. So I guess that was more just a personal feeling that I got. But I definitely feel like that it's sort of like, I guess, natural selection will happen where only the best content creator will survive through this. So I guess either way, it's going to be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about like, people get hot on stuff and they get bored and they try stuff. People who, might do it for over the next 4 to 6 weeks or whatever, just because they're bored and wanted to try something. If they don't really love it, don't have passion behind it, they're not going to drive through it anyways.
Yeah, or they might love it, might have passion, but just aren't good at that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always people. When you're your age, there's always people coming out with a brand. They got this new thing. They got this, that's just what happens. And then you see 5 years down the line, 98% of them don't succeed because they don't know how to actually do it and how to build a business and how to sell things on social. Like we just got off the phone with a college coach to work with the program a minute ago, and just talking about how a college kid, you've never done a deal in your life, you never signed a contract, you've never pitched a social media concept, so like when you're at that point in a career, 99% of people don't understand how to create more than just an Instagram post or a tweet or an IG live, but make it a whole business. And that's where I think the advantage can be, especially for someone like you who seems to get like the overall of it.
Yeah, I was fortunate to be able to choose a business major as I did finance. So I definitely look at it from a different perspective. I understand like there are different segments to what I'm doing. I understand there's marketing, there's the operations, there's you have to have your balance sheet intact for the things you're investing into your brand.
Yeah.
So I definitely I feel like I understand it, more than the average person would my age or within my realm.
Yeah. I mean, even I would have had no idea to start a business or to grow a brand. I would have no idea at that age. I had no idea at 28. I was still coaching. I was a grad assistant at 26, I think, still college coaching. So I wouldn't know how to do that stuff. And maybe you were a little ahead of me in that. But just from starting it, knowing how to do it, and then knowing how to succeed and to do it on social media is a different avenue even.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I want to do with my platform is sort of like teach people, these things that you probably wouldn't get just by, being just a regular athlete going through college and then going on to whatever you're going to do after that. Like teaching the business behind certain things so they can capitalize on that, understand that, and being able to teach them things for their own personal life with personal finance and stuff. I feel like as an athlete, when you grow up through the athlete system, you have a one-track mind. So everything you do is just sports and fun. And then when the real world hits, you're so unprepared. All you know is how to be an athlete. So there's so many other things to the game, that you need to know.
Yeah, 100%. Even when we talk to pro athletes, because we've never worked with a college athlete until we're about to do that. We've worked with pro athletes, and there's 30-year-old pro athletes, there's 35-year-old pro athletes who don't understand anything business-wise. There's athletes who've had $1 million deals and don't know how to do anything business-wise. So you're right, and we know even when we talk to athletes about branding and whatnot, a lot of it is I don't want to focus on my brand. I want to be focused on my playing. I got my I only got so many years to make money in the game and blah blah blah. Whereas we see it as obviously that's a major component. That's where most people make most of their money that way. But we see it as a tool for all the other stuff. That's your platform. You get in a car accident today when you leave practice, your career could be over. It's as simple as that, and it happens. To a lot of people where injuries ended, or you get cut and you just never make it back on a team, or someone like you, obviously you got hurt. You thought you were going to go have a career, long pro career, and maybe I don't know if you still want to get back into it, but whatever you thought was going to happen didn't happen. We lost you.
Oh, my bad, guys.
You're good. Are you planning to get back Are you planning to get back playing?
Yeah, so this whole year basically has been me just rehabbing to get back on the court. I'm close. I got probably 2 more months after my ACL rehab. So, I'm going to be leaving my hometown, Alabama, to get back up to Virginia so I can use the happy facilities to get back working out with the trainers and back on the court, being able to play against some good competition. So, yeah, that's my goal, to get back to overseas. But throughout this whole time, I'm still working on things to be put in place for after when my career is over, because the injury showed me they can happen just like that.
Yeah.
Because before that injury, I really had no injuries. I played outside of my freshman year when I wasn't playing, not for injury reasons, just for not being able to play every game, not being good enough yet. I never had an injury at all. I played every single game. And then literally 8 days into my first professional training camp, I got a season-ending injury. So it's just been taken away just like that, no matter, what your history is. So I'm definitely focused on my playing career, but I'm even more focused on what's after, because it can happen so fast.
I love that. That. Most people don't have that mindset, especially going into it. And I don't know what your deal looked like, but especially when you're talking NBA, NFL, and they're making millions off the jump, they're thinking, I'm going to make millions forever. They're not thinking, oh shit, I better start understanding my business and finances and not start paying for everybody's shit. And they don't have that mindset, which is huge that you're there already thinking towards the future.
Yeah, I got to. I feel like if I went to college and I majored in finance and I didn't understand how to manage my finances or how to manage my money period or my brand, I feel like it would be a waste. So I got that free ride for no reason. So I definitely feel like it's sort of my responsibility to be responsible with my finances and my brand and everything.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, I almost feel like you just talking about that. I almost feel like it should be, maybe it is now, I'm not sure, I'm out of the game for a second, but all athletes have to take some type of course or some kind of type of program on finances or whatnot to have that structure at least.
Yeah, I think that should definitely be something that should happen. But I feel like it's not going to happen, just like how in the regular school system, finance isn't taught. You have to go to college and take those classes. that's why, I want to bring that content to my platform, because I feel like athletes definitely need to be on top of this, because they come in contact with so much money, especially they go pro, or just now with the likeness rules changing, that they need to understand these things. So I definitely that's like one of my biggest goals with my channel. My platform is to teach athletes about personal finance and brand building and business, because you're not gonna just find that, just going about like regularly. So that's definitely something I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like what I've been looking forward to the most, because that's sort of like the reason I started the channel. Like, at first, the channel name is going to be Business Athlete. It's just going to be teaching athletes about things about business. Then I realized there's other things that I still, I wanted to put out too. So I tried to make it a broader spectrum, I guess, and have that be like one of the biggest pieces of my content. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting a chance to do that this summer, because I'm moving back to Virginia. I have a better setup to be able to create my content. I'll be around more people to be able to use that content. So my Business Athlete segment is definitely going to be something I'm looking forward to.
I dig it. And where you are and what you do, and being an athlete, being like just out of college, you can reach out to so many people that'll respond to you and say yes. Here's what I want to do. I want to work with guys that maybe you reach out to a handful of rookies, or it's vets for a session or whatever, but you reach out to a specific segment in the NBA or other pro sports or overseas and say, here's what I want to do. We'd love to have your help. My platform is to help other athletes who are younger. And I'm sure you'll get a ton of people that are like, yeah, I'll do it. Let me do it. Especially with now everyone's so used to Zoom calls. This is such an easy thing to set up and do.
Yeah, I would. I kind of agree with you. Like, I can do that, but through my actual trial and error, I was very surprised to find out that a lot of people kind of didn't want to, work with me. And I'm not sure, how I reached out to them. It's like, just like I DM you, I explained exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they really weren't that receptive to it. They pushed it off. I don't know if it's just because of how I did it, but I definitely reached out to some people that I'm going to work with in the future. But the majority of the people do either not respond or say no. So maybe I just ask you guys, like, do you have any suggestions on how you would reach out to somebody or DM someone about an opportunity to work with them?
Yeah. You're going to say something?
Go ahead. Yeah, there's several tactics.
Yeah, I think, obviously you're not in college anymore, but you're fresh out. That people want to help college age students, so that's not necessarily you at this point. But I would just say, like, lean on the focus of looking to educate young athletes. I know you're a pro. My platform is for young athletes. Would love to get your thoughts on these 3 things or these 5 things, and like lay it out as simple. And I don't know if you had personal relationships with any of these people or not. When we work, 99% of the time when we get a response back, we're going to them with some sort of value, like whatever the value is. So in your case, it could be something like, hey, we want to create some pieces you can use for your social media that have to do with finance. That it's on my platform, but I'm going to create some pieces for you to use on yours too. So maybe that's the play with it. Sometimes, depending on how big of the athlete, it's better to go through management, which you can usually either find in a bio or just Google who their management team is and reach out to them with the same pitch. Again, you're adding value. Like, what can you give to them? They don't, especially if they don't know you. Like, why would they talk? There's 8,000 people like you and us that reach out to a big name athlete every day. But why would they want to talk to you different than us or, Washington Post or whatever shit magazine, newspaper they want to do? I don't know if it's shit or not. That's not a political play.
No,
I think whatever.
The value is obviously number one. Is what kind of value do they get? Because obviously people just like to do value. They need to see the value for themselves. In most cases. The other one is you got to think of it from like their standpoint of like how you're standing out in your approach too. So like customizing, whether it's a DM or an email, even as little as like changing subject titles to say what you want, or having something that will prompt them to open that email or see that DM, the first sentence or a word or two in the DM before they open it. It's something that might be custom, might be something that grabs their attention. Yeah. Because if they don't open it, if it's not eye grabbing, they're not opening, and then you're not getting the meeting or the call or whatever you want, basically. So they're not even getting to the bulk of it. So that's huge, and something we've become very good at is crafting something, and oftentimes it takes a lot of research too. So if you don't know this athlete, if you don't know the person you're trying to reach out to as well as you think, do the research. You might find out that they have his wife went to your school or something like that. So there's your tie-in. You lead with that essentially. So the research around whoever you're trying to reach out to, kind of customize and craft your message.
Or other public conversations they've had if they talked about stuff like this before. Maybe those are the people you lean on, focus on. LeBron has done some kind of. I mean, LeBron would be impossible to get in touch with, probably, but maybe not. But he's talked about stuff like this, financial literacy. A guy like Kevin Hart, I just heard him talk about
Kevin Hart.
He's not an athlete, but he's athlete adjacent.
Yep.
Does his Nike stuff.
And they have a whole initiative with
Chase
and Kevin Hart, and they've included I think a handful of athletes into that. Even
Even his whole pitch is going into black communities and talking about them. Like I just heard him talk about this on a podcast, and he was saying the head of Chase, they wanted to go in and have these conversations in inner city places. And he was like, you guys can't fucking do that. This billionaire white dude can't go in there. You can't have, one, they're not going to listen to you just because of who you are probably. And two, you don't understand what it's like to not have money or to not be able to pay the bills or to decide, hey, do I want to pay the light bill or the electric bill this month and that kind of thing. So his whole thing is specifically going in to minority dominant neighborhoods and speaking to the kids about financial literacy. So a guy like that might be, our way to be included. Hey, I'm an athlete. This is what I'm trying to do. I love this aspect of that. Would love to be able to talk to you.
I even think maybe the angle even is with that type of thing is going to Chase. So finding who's associated with that campaign, because there's going to be a couple different levels of marketing people, and reaching out to them and say, I saw what you did. Here's my background. Maybe you want to have them on to talk about the finances because that's obviously very, very valuable and educational. But maybe through the back end, that's the introduction that you get and wrap it all together.
Even his trainer boss, who's a former college athlete too, I've DM'd him and we've met with him a handful of times now, 2-3 times, based on stuff. And he does the stuff with Chase. He does everything. If you know Kevin, if you look at his social, he's all over it. He's a part of it. And he has a good following too, and a former college athlete. So there's other routes to go to talk to people like that. But I think number one is add value. Like, how can you help me, the athlete? How can you help me get whatever I want out to that market? And it's going to be different when you reach out to me as opposed to Tim or person X. Just crafting that so they understand. All right, the values to me, and also there's so many people reaching out. It's not only just being different, but knowing that, like, all right, this is going to be a quality conversation. It's not just another dude trying to waste my time and get some clout off my name, but there's actual, like, really something to what he's trying to do.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. So I definitely got to work on personalizing those messages to reach the people that I'm actually going after. That really makes a lot of sense. So, so I guess my next question would be about podcasting. Like I said, I have a friend that's going to be like the main, host for my podcast, taking my brand to my platform. And I just would like to get some tips, basically for me and him, because we're probably both going to be on it, doing and leading the segments on podcasting. So, you got any specific tips for that realm, please?
I think with podcasts in general is create quality stuff and be consistent. We've not been great at being consistent, but our podcast now, like I had a baby 8 months ago, he had a baby 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So there's been like reasons for some of that stuff. We're in quarantine, now we're together, but we didn't see each other for 6 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do Zooms at first like this, but now we are.
Yeah, Pat was anti-Zooms for a year until
if this didn't happen, I would have never done a Zoom.
Forced us to do Zooms.
But putting out quality content, finding out our market in the podcast has changed. Our business model has changed since we first started the podcast a year and a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
starting our podcast. But so like crafting stuff that fits not only them, but crafting stuff that's going to work on our Instagrams, our Twitter accounts. Like, how can we craft and find topics that are relevant to what we're doing? If you look at our stuff the last month, our last 3 weeks specifically, is all about the college name, image, likeness stuff, because that's what we're talking about on social media. That's what we're talking about here. And it really is a whole full circle. So the last conversation we had was just Tim and I, 20-minute podcast. I cut up 5 or 6 different pieces to use on social. So now those are talking points. I'll go in, then from there, I'll use that and I'll tag people in the post that we post about it. I've gotten, just on my personal account, a handful of important followers and a good amount of other followers just in general. Just people seeing what I'm posting. And important, I mean like college coaches, college athletes that are well known. Just from those pieces, those conversations. So again, it's not just the one piece, but it's now become 6 different pieces because it's a full pod. Then the 5 small, I use it on my platform. Tim posts on his. We post on our Business and BS Twitter and Instagram as well.
Oh, well, that's definitely creative. I think that's sort of similar to how I think All the Smoke does theirs. They show different parts of the podcast to draw people in. That's definitely
they
smart.
do. I mean, as good of, or maybe probably better than anybody else, is they create. Like they'll come out now, like with Steven Jackson's in Minnesota speaking, like whatever they come out with next is going to be super topical. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a different perspective. It doesn't have to be a buttoned up ESPN perspective of, they can say like, this is fucking bullshit. They can do whatever they want to do,
Yeah.
And which makes that so great and why it's of I know they're retired athletes, but of an athlete podcast is one of the best out there.
Yeah, that's definitely facts. So you were talking about how you reach out to coaches and how you feel like the likeness and everything is going to change things for coaches. I personally, once I get done playing, that's going to be one of the things that I want to transition into is coaching outside of my own business interests, investing and everything like that.
Yeah.
So how do you think coaches, should be able to capitalize? Like, what do you think they should do to be able to capitalize on this, this new wave of likeness that's coming in?
Yeah, I think there's like 3 ways. You can punch in where you want. 1 is recruiting perspective. 2 is teaching and showcasing what you are as a coach. And then 3, depending on where you are and what you want to do with it, and if it makes sense, is capitalizing on your own name, image, and likeness. That's not something college coaches do. Unless you're at the top, you're the Krzyzewskis of the world, you're the Nick Sabans, and you're making massive deals with, not only are you getting your Nike money, but you're with Nick Saban, State Farm,
Aflac.
Yeah. Those big names do that, but most coaches don't do stuff like that. Some will do camps, the obvious ones, but I think so. That's one aspect of it is name, image, likeness of yourself and what you do. 2, I think very few coaches showcase how they coach on their social media. They don't. It's not. There's none of their process. They're not watching
the personality.
Yeah. They're not showing personality. They're not showing the process of them actually coaching a player. They're not showing game footage and breaking down like here's why person X did this and here's why person Y did that. On defense, we didn't rotate. This guy should have rotated there, and showing you like what they'd be like to work with on a day-to-day basis. I don't know why that doesn't happen more. I think that would be super important from a recruiting standpoint to show like here's who I am. You want to come play with me, play for me? Here's what I'm gonna be like. This is how my mind works. This is what I see. And then if you're getting practice footage and stuff like that, you might be able to see kind of what it's almost like to be able to actually be in a practice too, whether they're fiery or they're super positive. And obviously they're not gonna post super negative stuff, but like what do they like personality wise?
Yeah. I think the recruiting is number 1.
Yeah.
That's hands down.
But I also think the education piece and stuff like that's part of that as well.
Well, yeah. But I think where was I going to go with that? So from your guys' standpoint, your guys as if you were a coach today. I think that to showcase that you're forward thinking and thinking about the athlete and their own brand is going to be huge too. But going back to that in the recruiting process too. So showing mom, dad, and athlete that you're forward thinking, you're thinking individually on how you can help them in their career, not just basketball, I think is going to be important.
Yeah. And when we've talked to college coaches, part of what we're saying to them too is it's not just, okay, kids are going to make money. Yeah, some kids are going to make money. Some kids are going to make a ton of money. Some kids won't make a ton of money. They'll make okay money. But we're teaching them how to grow a business and learn a business process and how to market and all this stuff that's financial literacy, like you're talking about, all this stuff that's going to be super important outside of basketball. 99% of athletes, basketball players specifically, easy for me to say, 99% of basketball players who go to college think they're going to go pro. I'm sure your teammates all thought you were going to go pro. But realistically, that's just not going to happen. And we want to help teach. And if you're a coach, you should be helping them learn all the other stuff as well. The process of all this branding, marketing, name, image, likeness stuff.
Yeah, I think even though we sort of had a rivalry in college, being we were rival schools, but LaVelle Moton, I don't know if you guys know about him, but LaVelle Moton, he's a great self-brander, and he's won many maybe one coaches now aren't into self-promoting, self-branding. They sort of like they feel some type of hate towards it, because I know my coach personally, they're like good friends, but he also like talks about how he's very arrogant and cocky, LaVelle is. So I guess it's sort of like some type of animosity towards those type of coaches. But they sort of try to steer away from that within their own little coaching realm, I guess.
Yeah. And I had one of my college buddies, football college coaching buddies. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, I need help with branding, but I don't want to be one of those lame ass dudes." And I get that. There are guys that do it in an arrogant way, in a way that turns you off. But I think there's more like how I said it, where you can work on your branding and talk about your coaching and your style and what you do, and actually show that. Pop on game film and take me through a play, or take me through a series. Show me those kind of things. I'm sure not every school, but most schools have footage of practice. Mic up one of the coaches one day, and have the the video team say, "Hey, mic me up. I want to get some footage of me talking today," or in a camp setting. There's those opportunities down the line, and within what they're doing and what you would be doing as a coach, there's opportunities all the time to be able to do that and not do it in an arrogant way. Also, I know it's like a looked down upon thing within the coaching circles, but I think if you can make it not be so overtly arrogant and more just be like, "Hey, here's who I am and here's what I do," I think that can be super beneficial.
Okay, so I guess the last question I have for you guys. You already gave me so much great information. I'm definitely gonna be keeping track of this stuff in my notes. But I guess it's about my Instagram or just social media in general. Like, how do you feel like athletes should start looking at their social media? Should they look at it differently? Because me personally, once I started my brand, I went into my Instagram analytics and I saw my followers.
We lost you. Yeah. Hold on, you're breaking up. Say that again.
I went to HBCU.
Hold on. Say that again, because you broke up. So you're talking about your analytics. You went into your social media analytics.
So as soon as you switched, and then it cut off.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that when I started my platform, I went into my Instagram analytics, and I went to HBCU, had like 3-1 girls to guys. So a lot of my followers ended up being a lot of beautiful black women. And then when I saw people more to my Instagram brand, they really weren't interested in the actual stuff that I was talking about, interested in, just me, being authentic at this point. Yeah. But I would like to ask you, do you think that athletes should start being aware of, like who they're following or who they follow, like, to be able to capitalize more on their social media grasp, I guess?
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple ways to think of it. We've worked with different athletes. All right. That's why. See, that's my girl calling me. I told her we were in a podcast. I'll let her know. Still on podcast. Thank you very much. So for one girl we work with, attractive girl. So she gets tons of dudes. But she doesn't want her market to be just guys that follow her because of that. And I think part of it is, you're a good looking dude. You're just gonna have females that are into you, whatever. But what you're saying will hopefully attract other people and the people that you want them a part of it. And also there's going to be people that are going to drop off because they're like, I just want him posting, shirtless pics at the beach, where you want to be talking about financial literacy for athletes. So that'll change, put out the content, to attract the people that you want to attract. I think it's the easiest way to say that. Yeah.
Yep.
And that what also happens too is like, all right, you start your platform, you start doing and talking about different stuff than you talked about 6 months ago. You're gonna lose followers. It's just gonna happen. There's gonna be people that don't care about. I'm not an athlete. I don't care about that. Like I'm in finance school. I just thought you were kind of cute. Like whatever. Your content is not mine. And that hurts people sometimes where they see their likes and their comments go down. They're like, oh shit, now I need to post that thing to get them back there. Where it's like, screw that. Do what you want to do, so you can attract the type of market that you want to have in the future.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely appreciate that.
Of course.
'Cause I was definitely thinking about that for a while. Like I realized, like obviously from the first video, people were sort of surprised by my injury and me starting the platform and everything. So the first video got a lot of traction, a lot of views. And I look back at it was like 1,000 views, and I have like 2,000 Instagram followers. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then when the views started going down like 200, 300 to 100, I was like, wow. So like I'm promoting it a lot through Instagram. I'm like, do they really care about this? And I realized, the people that I'm marketing to or whatever, those are the ones that matter. So
yeah,
it doesn't really.
I mean, even just for us, when we used to talk, 7 years ago, 7 years ago, we were more on just the fitness side, and then it was like general branding side, and now it's all I'm talking about on my personal is athletes specifically. So there's people that followed me 7 years ago who were into me because I was talking about fitness and our fitness app that we had. Now those people still follow me, some of them do, and they don't give a shit about what a college athlete's gonna make next year. They don't care, and they might unfollow, they might not see it. I don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Right now I'm trying to speak directly to college athletes or pro athletes who are looking to make money off branding, marketing, and social media. So I don't care about the numbers dropping. I don't care if it's 50 views I get on a video. If that's the right 50, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate you guys, man.
Of course. Yeah. Well, like I said, I'll post this on our platforms, our Business and BS podcast, and you can take some of this and use it yourself too if you want from that perspective. So you've got content, and then you can always DM and we can talk and maybe do something on your platform too. Yeah,
definitely. Like I said, I got the podcast. I'm probably going to have you guys being one of the first guests, of that segment when it, transformed. Because I definitely, even though I know you guys aren't celebrities yet, but I see you guys being celebrities soon. Maybe the next Joe Rogan's of this podcast, man. Because you guys have some quality content, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the growth.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. We'll talk soon.